Welcome to this incredible study. Today, we're embarking on a narrative that is frankly just truly remarkable. We're going to explore an experience that completely defies everyday logic. It challenges our fundamental understanding of biology, and honestly, it stretches the absolute boundaries of what we think we know about human existence. So get comfortable, because the details of this story, they are staggering. They'll have you questioning the very nature of reality. Let's dive right in. I want you to picture this. You wake up in the dead, pitch-black silence of the night. Your body is totally depleted, just completely drained of every single ounce of vitality. With whatever fragile, tiny bit of strength you have left, you reach out into the dark. You grab your spouse's foot, just trying to ground yourself. And you force out these four breathless, life-changing words. I just met God. That is the intense, terrifying reality a man named Wayne Fowler found himself in. And let me tell you, the story of how his agonizing night transformed into that exact staggering moment, it's a journey we're going to unpack today, and you won't soon forget it. Now, before we break down exactly how Wayne got to that profound point, I do want to mention that today's study is a full summary sourced from a deeply fascinating account originally shared over on the YouTube channel We Are the Overcomers. The link is right below in the description box if you want to seek out the original full-length interview for yourself. And a quick, very sincere note from the source material, prayers for the Watchmen channels are very much appreciated. Part 1. The crushing chest pain. Let's trace how this extraordinary sequence of events actually started. Wayne's day began uncharacteristically terribly. It was marked by this slow, suffocating decline in his physical state that just kept draining his strength. In the morning, he just felt foolish, uncharacteristically sick, struggling heavily just to breathe normal air. By the afternoon, it gets worse. A severe, throbbing pain starts radiating down his left arm, pulsing fiercely with every single heartbeat. Come evening, the man is completely spent. He's struggling in bed, tossing and turning, unable to find a comfortable position on his left or his right side. His energy is just evaporating. And then, in the dead of night, it hits him. A sudden, crushing chest pain. He said it felt exactly as if a massive elephant had stomped right in the dead center of his chest. He was entirely paralyzed by the sheer intensity of it. He couldn't even force a single word out of his throat to wake his wife, Denise, who was sleeping right there next to him. So in absolute desperation, totally trapped in his failing body, he mentally calls out to God. He just begs him to take the agonizing pain away. And moments later, an instantaneous cessation of all pain. Just like that. A sudden, absolute, total peace washed right over him. Section 2. Stepping outside the body. Right here is where the story shifts completely into a realm of wonder. Wayne opens his eyes, and he doesn't feel that suffocating pain anymore. Actually, he feels incredibly good, weightless, clear-headed. But as he looks down, he realizes, with a massive shock, that he is standing beside his own bed. He is looking directly down at his own lifeless physical body, which is still clutching its chest in frozen agony. And the profound difference in his perception in this new state, it's absolutely fascinating. See, Wayne wore glasses in his earthly life. His physical vision was limited, right? It required daily correction. But standing there, he suddenly possesses what he described as this effortless superhero vision. He could take in the tiniest microscopic details of the bedroom with absolute crisp clarity. And not only that, but he realizes, perfectly naturally mind you, that he can see straight through the solid bedroom walls, straight through the plate glass window, right out into the dark street outside his house, without any obstruction whatsoever. It's like the walls aren't even there. So effortlessly walking right through that completely solid wall, Wayne steps out into the night, and he sees a woman sitting on the curb. She is completely bathed in this brilliant spotlight shining down through the darkness from somewhere way, way above. Wayne noted that he somehow intrinsically knew her name was Linda. It was just this deep inner knowing, even though he had absolutely no memory of ever meeting her in his earthly life. And Linda? She simply looks up into the spotlight and delivers this mysterious, really exciting message. She says, "Wayne, there's someone that wants to meet you." Looking up into that deep night sky at a tiny pinpoint of light, Wayne suddenly feels these large, unseen, incredibly warm hands gently grabbing him around his center. He's lifted up, exactly like how a loving parent joyfully lifts a small child up into the air. And as he's lifted higher into the sky, he looks down at his own hands. Now dwell on these incredibly rich sensory details for a second, because this is wild. Wayne noticed his physical form had become a translucent body of light. He saw this beautiful, vibrant, purplish-blue glowing aura emitting right from himself. He could look directly inside his translucent hand and see that his veins,
They were no longer pumping thick red blood. Instead, they were displaying pure, radiant light flowing through his system. He was still entirely himself. He completely retained his identity. But he was now a being made entirely of living light.
Section 3. Procession through the tunnel.
As Wayne is lifted higher and higher, he shoots up rapidly past the Earth's cloud layers, completely out into the freezing cold cosmos, and he is suddenly launched directly into a massive, dark funnel that stretches out endlessly into the vastness of space. And the contrast here between our earthly physical limits and his incredible spiritual journey is just massive. Wayne quickly realized he was traveling through this immense dark space way faster than the speed of light. Now, naturally, his human mind panicked at that literal physical impossibility, and he felt deeply uncomfortable. But then, he found this miraculous control. He could mentally slow himself down to a speed where he felt completely at ease, completely safe. His thoughts were directly, instantaneously controlling his environment and his velocity. Now, this wasn't just some quiet, empty void or a lonely, dark tunnel in space. Inside this vast funnel was a remarkably refreshing, tropical breeze just flowing past him. But far more astoundingly, and this gives me chills, Wayne was surrounded, in a complete 360 degrees, by massive, towering male angels. They were packed tightly together, literally standing shoulder to shoulder, chatting brightly amongst themselves with this excited, buzzing anticipation specifically for his arrival. Wayne described it as feeling exactly like a grand military wedding procession. You know, where the distinguished officers cross their swords to form an arch of honor for the bride and groom? These majestic, imposing angels were lined up entirely to honor him. They were celebrating him as he traveled through this majestic cosmic corridor. Section 4. Entering the living light. So as Wayne nears the end of this tunnel, that distant pinpoint of light grows massive, and he bursts out of the funnel into an entirely new, expansive, and just breathtakingly awe-inspiring realm. Now, the profound difference between the light we know here on Earth and what he experienced there is crucial to understand. This wasn't just earthly white light. It wasn't like a harsh bulb or some glaring reflection. This was a heavenly, living light. Wayne stated it was tens of thousands of times brighter than our own sun. Yet despite that unimaginable, crazy intensity, it was entirely pure, it was intensely alive, and it was profoundly soothing to his eyes. He didn't have to squint, it didn't burn, it was a warmth and a purity completely outside of our earthly realm of human experience. At the exact center of this magnificent light, Wayne described seeing the figure of a man with outstretched arms, a man he knew instantly to be Jesus. As Wayne entered this space, the light instantly entered him. Think about the conditional, limited, often fragile earthly love we experience here, right? Now contrast that with what Wayne described feeling next. It was an infinite, rapturous ecstasy. He described it as Jesus filling his entire being up completely, expanding him like a water balloon, taking in more and more. If you took the absolute greatest, most profound joy you could ever possibly feel on earth and multiplied it by 1 billion, Wayne said that impossible mathematics would only be the very beginning of the infinitely multiplying, overwhelming love he was experiencing in that very moment. Section 5. Answers at the Cross. Filled to the absolute brim with this expansive, unconditional love, Wayne doesn't just sit there quietly in awe. No, he shifts almost instantly into this incredibly inquisitive, energetic, almost childlike state. He starts firing off these rapid, eager questions about the deepest meanings of existence, the nature of philosophy, universal truth, you name it. He was a man who had been starving for answers his entire life, and suddenly, he's seated at an endless feast. This experience perfectly breaks down the profound difference in how we communicate. I mean, human communication is incredibly linear and limited, right? We use partial sentences, we stumble over words, we constantly need follow-up questions because things are always left unsaid. But the divine answers Wayne received, they were instantaneous and just breathtakingly comprehensive. A single answer to a question was like receiving a massive, volume-sized library of information, all downloaded right into his mind at once. It instantly covered all 360 degrees of context, anticipating every possible follow-up question he could ever conceive, leaving him with absolute, complete knowledge. Zero remaining mysteries. And it's during this profound, instantaneous exchange of truth that Wayne experienced what he described as an undeniable revelation, something that literally brought him to his knees in awe. He felt he was placed right into a 360-degree, living diorama of the crucifixion. He wasn't just watching a historical movie. He actually experienced Jesus' exact thoughts and overwhelming physical sensations on the cross, in real time. What did it feel like to step into history like that? It was crushing. It was profound and deeply revealing. Because through that immersive experience, he understood a singular thought radiating from Jesus. The thought was this: if I was the only person in all of creation, he would have gone to that cross just for me.
For Wayne, the crucial realization of this entire encounter, and really the profound takeaway of this full summary today, is that this immense sacrifice wasn't just some broad, general historical event meant for a faceless crowd. It was intensely, intimately, and specifically personal. Wayne understood that Jesus suffered for every single individual personally, holding them in mind. Wayne described this deep recognition that there is a desire for an intimate, direct relationship with everyone. Just as Wayne felt that infinite, overwhelming love was meant specifically for him in that realm, his realization was that it is meant specifically for you too.
Section 6. A sudden return home.
Following this deeply personal revelation, Wayne sensed the undeniable, overwhelming presence of God the Father standing right beside Jesus. Being in this heavenly place, bathed completely in this soothing, living light and absolute love, it filled Wayne with a profound feeling that he had finally, truly arrived home. It was a peace he had never, ever known. So naturally, Wayne asks the one desperate question any of us would when we finally find a true, perfect home. He says, "Can I stay?" And in perfect unison, blending together as one, both Jesus and God the Father responded with an earth-shatteringly powerful, yet deeply loving and impossibly firm no. Wayne knew instantly he couldn't argue with that absolute authority. Immediately, he was pulled backward. He started moving feet first, right out of that glorious living light. He flew back rapidly through that vast, angel-lined tunnel in reverse, listening to the rushing rustle of their massive wings as he zoomed past. He blasted out of the cosmos, passing the breathtakingly beautiful, vibrant blue marble of Earth. Spotting the North American landmass, he descended rapidly toward Texas. He saw those mundane, microscopic earthly details again in a literal blur, passing straight through the asphalt roof shingles, the wooden attic rafters, the pink fiberglass insulation, zooming right past the acoustic popcorn ceiling of his very own bedroom before slamming violently back into reality. Talk about a jarring contrast. This exact moment is incredibly intense. After experiencing infinite peace, Wayne slammed back into his physical form with absolutely massive force. The impact of his spirit re-entering his body was so intense that his physical body actually rebounded upward off the mattress. He was thrown completely off the bed by the sheer momentum, and he landed with a heavy, sickening thud right in the middle of the pitch-black bedroom floor. This violent crash completely startled his sleeping wife awake, and instantly, in a cruel flash, Wayne felt the violent, suffocating return of that intense, burning physical pain crushing his chest once again. And this brings our incredible story full circle. Lying there on the floor in the dark, terrified, totally drained of energy, and burning with that relentless physical pain, Wayne reaches up into the pitch black. He grabs his wife's foot just to get her attention, and through his agonizing gasps for air, he forces out the most important, undeniable message of his entire life. I just met God. As we wrap up today's full summary, I really want to leave you with a deeply provocative thought to ponder. If you were faced with that exact level of infinite, rapturous, intimately personal love, a love that Wayne described as knowing every single intricate detail of your existence and valuing you completely without any condition, how would it change your perspective on life today? Take a quiet moment to reflect on the vast, staggering implications of Wayne's journey. Consider what that living light and that profound revelation might mean for your own path. Thank you so much for joining me for this study.